Well, hello friends, how are you all? My name is Rain and I welcome you all to this brand new episode of Comics Animal. Dosto, this is going to be a review video and a very special one at that, mind you. And here's the reason why. Because today I'll be reviewing this new mini-series called Spider-Man India that has come straight from the house of Marvel Comics. Yes! Our very own Pavitra Prabhakar, aka the Indian Spider-Man, is finally making a grand comeback after a gap of 20 long years. Can you beat that? Well, here's the guy. This gentleman has been missing for this long. Have a closer look at this guy. Well, actually, this is not our Spider-Man because our Pavitra Prabhakar is from the countryside. So he dresses up more like a countryman. He's a dhoti clad guy, he's a jutti wearing person. Well, more on this Spider-Man, our Spider-Man later. But first, let me answer that one question which must be cropping in your head. You, as in my friends, the regular followers and supporters of this channel, who must be wondering as to why Dhiren is reviewing a comic book series which has come from a non-Indian publisher. Well, I'll tell you the reasoning. See, this comic book series may have come from Marvel Comics, but what makes this more Indian to me, or I would rather say more appealing to me, the Indian reader, is the very fact that most of the creatives are either Indians or of Indian origin. Isn't that great? Well, more on that later. I'll fill you in on them more. But first, let's have a quick look at the covers. Come on, guys. Talking of the cover pages, guys, have a quick look at these impressive covers, nicely done by the artist duo of Adam Kubert and Brad Anderson, and these are big names. I'll show you these copies one by one. Here's the first one. I found this cover very impressive. The second one, this one was even better. Each one of these covers symbolizes perfectly the action that takes place in the inner pages. And if you ask me if I have to pick any of these two as my favorites, I think the cover art of the first two issues, these ones, stands apart. The rest didn't appeal to me as much. In fact, this fifth cover will remind you of that scene from the movie where the Spider-Man was so exhausted after evading a major train accident that the commuters had to carry him back to safety, signaling their love and sympathy for the young superhero. Now let's quickly talk about the creative team members. I will start with the writer Nikesh Shukla. Now this guy, maybe settled currently in the USA, but he has his origins back here in India. I had the good fortune of meeting him recently at the Delhi Comic Con, and I just loved the experience. Talking of the artwork of this entire series, it has been done by the two Indian pencilers, Abhishek Malsuni and Tadam Gyadu. While Malsuni did the pencil work for the first two issues, Tadam took care of the artwork in the remaining three. Scott Hanna and Elisabetta D'Amico are the inkers. D. Kanif and Neeraj Menon, another Indian, have done the coloring, and Joe Caramagna has done the lettering. While I'm happy that Marvel Comics picked up a team of good creatives, I would have felt overjoyed if the publishing house had trusted the Indian artist with the cover art as well. No doubt that Adam and Brad are big names and have done a great job with the covers, but I guess it's a fan in me that carries that grudge. Okay, fine. So now we'll talk about the storyline. Story, as you all know, guys, is one of the two important factors that determines the success of a comic book. So we'll get to that. But first, look at this wonderful piece of art by Abhishek Malsuni. What beauty, man! What beauty! So I'll just quickly flip through the first few pages. Okay, fine. So here you can see the three teenage boys who are actually Spider-Man from three parallel universes discussing and all. So now we comes to the Indian Spider-Man part. This guy is Pavitra Prabhakar. He's an Indian parallel of Peter Parker. So in this story, he gives up being a Spider-Man and takes up a job in Giri Corps. Now Giri Corps is the same mega corporation that wants to raise down the houses of Pavitra Prabhakar's locality to build new Liberty Plaza. Giri Saab, as you can see here, the CEO of Giri Corps, uses muscle and brains to get his job done. Mr. Giri even uses his social media team to run an anti-Spider-Man online campaign to turn Pavitra's own neighbors against the Spider-Man. With Spider-Man now no longer protecting the community, Pavitra's Aunt Maya and neighbors are left to suffer as they are forced out of their homes to make way for the Liberty Plaza. Giri Sahab is an evil guy. He not only is a big bad land shark but also fosters Dr. Kushal B. Kumar's project. Dr. Kushal wants to carry out an experiment of combining reptilian primal instincts with human brains to make best version of the human race. Dr. Kushal, because of an experiment gone wrong, himself becomes a monster lizard that makes Pavitra's life even more difficult. So this is the gist of the storyline. Now we'll move forward and talk about the theme that runs throughout this miniseries. That theme is Seva. It's a Hindi word which means an act of selfless service to the community. You can call it the leitmotif of the series. The narrative is basically about Pavitra realizing that selfless service to the community, or what we call the Seva Bhav, stands above everything else, and he must mask up again to fight for the welfare of the society. Okay, now we will talk about the good stuff that Nikesh has done here. First thing first, the narrative is simple and easy to understand. This should appeal to teenagers, which I think is the primary target audience. The story begins in a dramatic setup where three Spider-Men from parallel universe are seen fighting as one force against a multi-headed, multi-limbed creature called Mysterio. Readers who are not well versed with the multiverse of Spider-Man or haven't seen the two movies on the topic may find it a tad confusing in the beginning, but as the story progresses, the reader navigates smoothly. Number two, social media, as you all know, is a very lethal tool that impacts lives like anything. The perils of social media are shown in the comic book series, which is a true reflection of the current times. Number three, Pavitra is shown fighting his own demons, which is a classic element of Spider-Man of all ages. They fight with their inner self as much as they fight on the streets with evil forces. Kudos to the writer for presenting these moments of self-doubt beautifully. And these moments of introspection are captured wonderfully by artist Abhishek Malsuni in the penultimate page of issue number 2. I'm sure you guys will love these panels. And now it's the time for some critical commentary. So here I go. Number 1. I understand the writer has worked out a narrative that has a universal appeal. Nikesh knows and understands the youth and connects with their inner turmoil, moments of self-doubt and young age issues. But the writer can do better than just drawing parallels from Peter Parker's universe. Pavitra's origin, his family, social circle, life's challenges and struggles should have been outlined in a better, bolder and more importantly in a localized way. India, as we know today, has moved on from stereotypes and are comfortable with realistic depiction of life. Number 2. The transitioning from one episode to another is not smooth. It looks a little abrupt in a few places. So this needs to be taken care of. Number 3. Pavitra's love interest, MJ, is missing from the story altogether. So this was disappointing. Please understand that we Indians love a tinge of romance or love in the narrative, as it is a driving force for most of us. Wink wink. Number 4. Mr. Giri's backstory hasn't been established. This irks you because he is the main villain. He is so evil, intimidating and powerful that you can't help but wonder what his backstory was. There are a few questions that are left unanswered. For example, when Mr. Giri gets angry, how on earth does he turn into a Hulk-like guy? Is it probably because he must have administered some experimental medicines on himself, since he also fosters Dr. Kushal and his evil experiments? But it's just an educated guess. These questions should have been attended to. But I suppose the writer is saving this for the next series. And the last point, which is point number 5. See, so much action is happening on the streets. Giri himself, his goons, and Dr. Kushal as the monstrous lizard are creating a menace in Pavitra's neighborhood. And still, at no point in the story we see any signs of local police or civic authorities. It just does not look believable. I'll talk about the artwork now, and as I told you earlier also, the artwork of this entire series was done by two Indian artists, Abhishek Malsuni and Tadam Gyadu. Abhishek is the artist behind the first 2 issues, while Tadam continued the good work with some fantastic art in the next 3 parts. And I can easily say that the artwork is the soul of this mini-series. Okay, fine. So things that I liked about this visual delight. Number 1, I like how Abhishek brings in fresh perspective and gives a modern touch to all his characters. I mean, you talk of symmetry, order, balance, perspective and the proportions. Absolutely fantastic. Well, someone has rightly said a picture is worth 1,000 words. So the line art, inking, coloring and composition in the frames, all the hard work put in by the artist really shows. Look at this page. I mean, amazing how a Spider-Man, from a bird's eye view looks at the city.
looks at the city, which is where there is so much of hustle and bustle, and then all these pages, the fighting sequences, absolutely lovely. Look at the perspective. I mean, artist is one person who brings things to life like anything. And moving forward, I mean, for some reason Abhishek could not continue the artwork beyond the second issue. In comes Tadam and picks up the baton and runs ahead with the same intensity and passion. Tadam is hardworking, creative and brave. I liked how he curbed his instinct and molded his style to draw in a manner that will ensure the continuity of the art. Scott Hanna is the inker here, and Neeraj Menon, another Indian, is the colorist. Neeraj deserves a special mention. His coloring has given a certain mood to the line art of the two artists and brought the pictures to life. Lettering has also been good, which is done by Joe Caramagna. These three remained a constant in all 5 issues, and I believe these 3 people also deserve a special mention for maintaining the look and feel of the artwork throughout the series. Okay, now just look at this last page of the series. I mean, I wanted to show you this panel, this page, because here you can see Pavitra as a Spider-Man in a new costume. The costume of the previous Indian Spider-Man was way too rustic, and that has bugged me since the beginning. Somehow I never got myself to like the dhoti clad and jutti wearing Spider-Man. But here in the last panel of this series, basis the brief Tadam got from the makers, he has worked out this new look. He has kept the hair open from the top of the head. Dhoti and jutti have been replaced by joggers and sneakers. This looks much cooler. I believe the makers wanted to keep the look in sync with the Indian Spider-Man they had shown in the animation movie Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Enough about the artwork, let's move forward. Speaking of the size of the comic book, well, it's available in standard Marvel size, that is approximately 6.6 inches by 10.2 inches. All 5 issues have about 20 pages each. The pricing is $3.99 US, which is roughly about 330 Indian rupees. There are no novelties, and the comic book is currently not available in India, but a TPB is expected in March-April this year.
Well, here we are. Friends, we have reached the fag end of this video, and this is where I conclude things and share the final verdict. Talking of this mini-series, well, it feels like a fresh breeze, more so because as a Spider-Man fan, this series has come to us after a long gap of 20 years, and it's only the second time that Marvel Comics has come up with an India-centric narrative for the Spider-Man fans. So this is what makes this series so special. Talking of the storyline, and to sum up my thoughts, the storyline is nice and simple, above average at best, but seriously, I mean, deep down I was expecting the storyline to be a bit more riveting, which of course it is not, and that's why I'm a little disappointed in there. But I'm hopeful that things will improve. The narrative will become more intense and riveting in the next series. Talking of the artwork, without a doubt, I think this artwork is the highlight of this series, and I'm not going overboard with my appreciation simply because the artist duo and the colorist, they're all Indians, but the artwork is actually good. I just hope that, you know, this is not it. I mean, this is not a one-off thing, and for the next series, the makers do not take as long as it took for this series. I seriously hope the next series, you know, come out in the market sooner than later. And one more wish which I secretly have, and I'll share it with you. I just hope that the next time around, when they hire the services of Indian artists, they will trust them with even the covers. So this is what I expect from them. With these thoughts, I would like to conclude this video by saying that, you know, this is a must-have series in your collection. I understand that the single issues are not easily available in India, but as I said earlier, the TPB is expected in the next couple of months. So whenever they do come to Indian shores, go for them without any hiccups. I'm sure you're not going to regret it. And more than anything else, it's an Indian connection for which you should, you know, go for these comic books. On this note, I would like to say final goodbye to all of you. I'll see you soon in some other video. Goodbye.